Good evening and Happy New Year. It's
Is it? Oh, whoa! It is.
it is
Holy
the new
smokes.
year.
I've been off work for like a week and a half. I don't know what day it is.
I've been living, it's just this span between Christmas and New Year's. It's just like a fog,
Yeah.
and but now it's we're Thursday, January 1st, and 2026, a new year.
It is. If you still write checks, remember to start writing 26, not 25. I actually wrote a check the other day, the first time in 3 years.
Oh,
I didn't even know where the checkbook was. I had to dig around for that. But man, because nowadays they say they charge you the extra 3% if you use the card. Well, if it's $600, man, that's $18.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, especially
So,
if you must have been paying like a government thing.
union dues.
Union dues. Okay. Yeah.
So,
I know if you want to pay like if you're writing out checks, or if you're paying your property taxes, if you want to use a card, they tack on the service fee for that. And
right.
Hey, we got people coming in here. We were kind of worried that nobody was going to show up on New Year's Day, but if you're like me, you've probably been eating too much beer and cheese for the last week, and you need something to cleanse your palate. So,
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You were just surprised I showed up. Like, where's Joe? Joe, are you going to be here tonight? Joe, do you remember? So usually a couple days before, Michael sends me a message with the link for the show and our show notes. He didn't send them out till like 11:30 this morning. So when I got like, oh crap, we got a show tonight.
We got a show. We got a show.
A real big show, right? So yeah, I took vacation, and with the holidays sitting in the middle of the week, both Christmas and New Year's, it's like I don't know what day it is. Is it a Sunday? Is it a Wednesday? I don't know. So yeah, I go back to work this coming Monday, and like, oh man, I'm ready to go back to work now. I'm done with this vacation stuff.
I think it's it seems like when you have the holidays midweek, like that Wednesday, Thursday for Christmas Eve, New Year's, or Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Yeah.
That seems like the perfect setup, because then you can take Friday off, and it's just like a 2-day week if you're actually doing work.
And so the thing that makes it worse is usually my wife also takes off this week, and she goes up to the cabin to see her parents for the week. Well, she's so busy at work, she didn't take off, and she's been working from home. So, like, we're about ready to kill each other. Like, one of us needs to get out of the house. Of course, the big thing today was, it's the first of the year, and she went. She had went and got a massage. I didn't know that there's any massages available on the holiday, and then she went to the store, and I did two things. I did the dishes and I cleaned the toilet. And I had to tell her that I've cleaned the toilet and did the dishes every day this year, honey. What have you done? You just go out and spend my money.
Just go out and spend.
She looked at me and says, well, if you don't like it, you can go back to your mom. I'm like, oh, that's brutal. That's brutal. We love each other, right?
Yeah. We got a big show tonight. A lot of things to talk about. A lot of stuff going on in the month of January. But we're also here to answer your ham radio related questions. So drop them into the chat. We love to hear. We love to hear your questions. And if we don't have an answer, usually the hive mind in the chat kind of comes up with a good answer too. So,
or we'll make something up.
Something up. We're not beyond that.
Yeah.
That's for
sure.
We
have pretty low standards on this program.
Oh yeah. That's probably it's definitely some of the lowest.
Right.
We got a lot of people filling in here though, so it's good. Just trying to catch chats as they go through here. So, but
so
thanks
Did you make any New Year's resolutions this year, Michael?
You know, we've been talking about that, about resolutions and stuff, and I think I'm past the point of, I don't know.
You're as good as you're going to get.
I'm as good as I'm going to get. Absolutely. It's
last year, my wife made the resolution to lose weight before her sister's wedding. My wife lost 75 pounds.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And she's kept it off. So that's pretty big. So now I'm, everyone kind of looks at me like, so when are you going to start dieting, Joe?
That's a good one. I gotta get back on that. Get back on that horse. It's like, since the pandemic, it's just been a very slow creep. And
oh yeah, I know. It's all the everything you can do at home now, right? So like, why do you have to go out?
Yeah, well, yeah. A few years ago I hit 50, and then it's been downhill ever since. So.
Well, what really happened was you bought that brand new bike, Michael.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, you rode it 1 year, and you really haven't rode it since.
No. I bought that. I got that thing back in 2019, the year before the pandemic, and it was. I got it right before those. Availability was nothing, and prices went sky high. And but I this last year really had. Yeah, I haven't gotten it out at all. I think in the last year, so it's got to get back onto that.
It's it's kind of the same here. I had all these grand plans. I was going to do more hiking and stuff. That was like my goal during the pandemic, and I haven't done any of that, and it shows. I am definitely out of shape, and I'll tell you what. When I get up in the morning, if that's the best I'm going to feel all morning, all day, oh God, that's bad.
Oh no.
Like between the hip and the back and the knees. The other day, my left knee started hurting. I'm thinking, well, that's a new pain. It's usually the right one.
You're not even 50 yet, so you don't have an excuse. Yeah.
No, I've had back problems. Oh gosh, since I was 18 or 19. So I was in a car accident. I was upside down in an RX-7. First of all, how does a big guy get in an RX-7? But then when you're upside down, getting out of an RX-7, that's even funner.
I remember you telling me that story when we were traveling around your stomping grounds.
Yes, that was. It wasn't a bad accident, but we were upside down, and it just seems like from there, that's when my back started hurting.
Oh, sure.
I did some other stupid things, like I've tried lifting a half barrel once, back first, no knees. And yeah, so I'm 45 now, 46 actually in a couple of weeks, and I kind of feel like it sometimes. So, but anyways, I think so. Last year, back to ham radio. Yes. I focused on. I said I was going to do CW. I was going to get on the air on CW, and I did that. We did the Long Island CW Club, and I think just about every activation I did from like July forward, or the section maybe 1 or 2, was all CW.
Yeah.
So I think I ended up with 400 or 500 contacts last year just in CW.
Well, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to keep working on that. I haven't done an activation. I haven't been really on the air since maybe the week or two after our camp out, so middle of October. So I need to get back on the air. And I think also this year is the year that I get a new field radio. I mean, I'm going to keep the G90. But I think I kind of talked this about that. I think I'm going to get a K2.
Oh.
And that's going to be my 100-watt radio for field day, winter field day, portable use.
Okay.
That I think is my goal. Not a KX2.
Not the KX2, which is the QRP version, but the K2.
I'm going to get a K2. So that means. So I think that what that means is I'm going to sell my 897. I don't want to call it a maligned 897. Just I put way too much money into that 897.
Yeah.
I paid too much for it, and then it came and it was DOA. So I had to spend another $200 on it to get it fixed. So Yeah. I'm not going to get my money out of it. That's for sure. But so I think after Winter Field Day is when I'm going to put it up for sale.
Okay.
And then I'll use the proceeds from that and whatever else I got laying around for new rig.
There you go. You buying new or you buying used?
I'll buy a used one. I
Okay.
can't justify what's the price for a brand new K2. Let's just look here. I don't even want to know.
I can't. I can't imagine. So, well, while you're doing that, thanks a lot, KJ5 RT, for your support. I really appreciate it. That's look at you.
Hey, yeah, I just found it. So like the basic K2 package is almost $1,700, and I don't even know if that's assembled.
Then you got to buy the microphone.
right. Then you got to buy a box for it, and like the most you get for that, like if you spend $2,000, they may give you a sticker. But I think the going price is under $1,000 for a used one, depending on which mods it has. So yeah, we're gonna go with that.
So good deal. Yeah. If I think about resolutions, probably the thing that I really need to work on is the mess down here in the basement, and slowly but surely attacking it. I got this fancy new little caddy to put my tools in to kind of keep them off the desk, and magnetic work light so that
there you go.
Because my old eyes aren't what they used to be, so I need illumination down here.
Yeah. Well, you see the workbench behind me, right? This bench. So it was worse last week, and I got her down, and I actually did some work on it, some things on it, and then I cleaned some stuff other places down here, and now stuff is already collected back up on here, and it's just like, seriously? So
that's the problem. You clean something off, and then it becomes a new horizontal space for landing. So
right. Like if we clean off the kitchen table in the morning, by the afternoon it is full again.
Yeah.
Nature abhors a vacuum.
That's right. Oh, Sonic, well, thanks a lot for your support. I really appreciate it. So we'll give you some good.
Yeah, we found the reaction button.
Yeah,
on the new platform here, and we were playing with that earlier. So I think we're just going to keep the applause because all the other ones were pretty bad.
They're pretty bad. So
yes.
You should
get a J-pole from him in the future. You will buy a J-pole from KB9 VBR.
And if there was any one way in which you could support the channel and receive benefit from it, would be buying one of my antennas, because it helps me, and you get an antenna, you get a great VHF UHF antenna.
Right, they last a long time.
They do, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But we got some questions rolling in here before we got talking about all of our ailments and whatnot. You were talking about your G90, and Ricky's asking, just started learning about ham radio. I want to do POTA, but also at home I was thinking about a G90. Any tips?
So the G90s are really easy radio. Yes, there's not a lot of menus. It's pretty straightforward. It's got a great tuner. It's a 20-watt radio, and low power can be a problem for new people in the field. Yeah, there's a little bit of a struggle with running QRP out there, even though it's 20 watts. We'll just call it a QRP radio. Right now, probably not so bad. I mean, you can go do POTA with 20 watts, and it's fine right now. Bottom of the sun cycle, probably a problem.
It's gonna get worse. I think, paired with a good antenna, it really makes a difference, because even though you're running 20 watts with a nice efficient antenna, maybe like an elevated quarter wave or a high quality end-fed half wave, you'll actually do quite well with just 20 watts.
Yes.
When I'm out on the field, even though I carry a 100-watt radio with me, I'm only running 50 watts. So 20 is just one step down from that.
Right. So I think it's a good start for you. I'm not going to say don't do it, but make sure you get a chance to go out there and try a few things, and get your license, get your general and everything. Yeah, I go with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's.
Full disclosure, like I said, I have a G90. It's my primary POTA radio, but and again, antenna does make a big difference, and you don't got to spend a lot of money on an antenna.
No.
So.
Yeah, you can get on the air with not a lot of money, and we've on many of my videos I've talked about some pretty I've talked about some expensive antenna systems, and I've talked about some pretty cheap antenna systems.
Yeah. And you'll find that the cheap antennas or the homemade antennas work just as good as the expensive ones.
And you learn something. So.
Yeah.
KQ4FBF is asking, do you operate split for POTA activations? I do not operate split. And I don't know if I'm big enough, if my pile-up skit is rowdy enough and big enough that I need to shout up 5 for people.
I think 75% of the people who are working you, Michael, on an average Saturday or Sunday don't know how split works.
Probably.
And again, I try not to trash anyone. It's just that even when you see the big DX expeditions and those guys are working split, half the people are, lids.
It's a mess.
They don't got split set up right, or they're not doing it at all. So.
Yeah, it's good for very like I said, well sought after stations. For the D expedition, the rare entity, then with an operator that knows what they're doing, can really bring in contacts at a tremendous rate by operating split. But
and split is a lot of times a CW thing. It's not necessarily a sideband thing, because the problem when you're operating CW is that if everyone has is matching your tone, it all sounds the same, right? If everyone's zero beating, it's all the same. So if you work up 5, you don't actually have to be exactly 5 up. You can be a little bit up and down below that, and then the operator can pick you out from everyone else.
Yeah.
So with Michael not doing a lot of CW, not a lot of need to really do split unless you're working from some island in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, and Flab is asking, what is split? And so basically, what it is, so the station that's operating, managing the pileup, what they will do is they'll announce that they're working split, and they will operate on one frequency, but they're going to actually be listening about 3 to 5 kilohertz higher than the frequency that they're transmitting on. So that means what that does is that forces the hunters off the frequency the operator is operating on. So because one of the biggest problems with pileups is, well, 2 big problems actually, but is everybody's talking at once, and they're talking over everybody else, and when you are transmitting, they're talking over that, and the other station can't hear you because everybody is doubling. So if you can get the hunters off your frequency, you transmit always on one frequency, they always transmit on one frequency, you're dialing up and down the band a little bit, and you're picking people out up and transmitting low. But in order for that to happen, both you and the other person, they have to be talking on one frequency, listening on the other, talking and listening on the other, and your transceiver will should have that ability that to do that A/B split kind of thing, so that you when you invoke the split, you're instantly transmitting 5 kc up. You're listening on the frequency that the other guy is talking on. So
yeah. And have you released the video of our rope from last week, Michael?
no, that's probably going to come out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so if you listen to that one, I'm doing the logging while he's operating, and I do my best not to make my face. When people are just like talking right over you.
Mm-hmm.
I do it, by the way. I'm sure, especially if you're a Patreon, you'll see that face at least a couple of times. But for especially like on a big D expedition where you got one guy operating, one guy logging, the two operators really need to work together and knowing who you're actually going to call back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me and Michael have done it enough now. I don't think we had any big pileups.
No.
But there was a couple of times there, either you wait till you take the last station, or you take the first station you hear, because you usually either one of those other ones, you at least get 2 or 3 letters that are coherent, right? And I think you and I were working pretty good. We could kind of figure out which one you wanted or which one I thought was clear. And most of it, I think there was one time I goofed up out of the 50 or 60 contacts. Actually, we're probably close to 80 contacts, I thought. There's 25, 26 at each site. So, yeah, we're probably pushing 80.
About 75, 80 contacts. We were at three different locations, and we got about 25 or so at each one. So.
Yeah. So there's a lot to it, but I would say for your average POTA, you really don't need to worry about split.
Yeah, absolutely. So, follow up on the G90. Do you have any budget entry antenna recommendations for the G90? I want to get out to the parks.
Yeah.
I think for a really, for a high performance antenna that's going to work well, 10 through 40 meters, you can go with like the performer antenna. We've talked about that a lot of times in videos. A quarter wave vertical whip that you elevate it on a tripod with an elevated counterpoise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the KJ6ER performer antenna. And probably, you're going to have to buy a few parts. Some stuff you might be able to scrounge around. The whip's going to be the most expensive thing at around $50 to $70.
Yeah.
So you'll probably be all in at about 125 or so.
Yeah, this 17-foot stainless whip can make a lot of antennas. We'll do a lot of vertical antennas, 20 meters on up. If you want to make like a sporty 40 coil or buy one from, say, like Chameleon or Wolf River, certainly, that's probably a good thing to have in your bag too. So right there, you're in about 150. Then you probably, thing that people don't really ever think about is you have a 17-foot whip. Well, that gets real top heavy real quick. So you need a little bit of a base. Mm-hmm. So you find a cheap one on eBay for $40 or $50, a flagpole base. And then even if you just want to do the magic carpet, well, then just go to like Home Depot and get some window screen.
A bright aluminum window screen.
Yep, like a 10-foot section of that. That's probably $20.
Yeah.
150. Plus, you got to get some coax, and we always say you can kind of skimp a little bit on the coax. RG58 or 8X is fine for HF. Even if you make one with a store-bought whip, you're probably in the 150 to 200 range. If you want to make like an end fed or something, well, then it's just like someone just put speaker wire, right?
Yep, I was going to mention, yeah.
You can do a lot with speaker wire and then just roll your own toroids and stuff. I think if you just put in end fed antenna kits, I mean, you can probably buy the kit to make your own for $20 or $30.
Yep.
Right, and then go get some rope, and yeah. So there's a lot of options out there, and with the G90, it's got that antenna tuner that'll tune a wet noodle.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of options. The ARRL has a couple books on portable antennas. So maybe that's something else you want to take a look at too. Maybe spend the $20 to get the book and read through that. And you'll find some other ones too. But I think between myself and Michael, we've done a lot of those portable antennas, and they all work pretty well.
Yeah. It's and if you had just let me see if I can find even with just speaker wire, you could make a dipole for less than $10. And then whatever bands you want to cut it for. I'm trying to find the website here, but it's not coming up. So
right. With speaker wire and a 4-to-1 balun, you can make a 40 meter off center fed dipole.
Yep.
And 40 meter off center fed dipole with a tuner will work 40, 20, 15, and 10. Which is that's your prime real estate for POTA. You probably even work 17 on that with that tuner.
With the tuner, you could, yeah.
So I mean, there you go. That's an easy. A 4-to-1 balun. If you get one from like LDG is $30.
Yep.
Go get some speaker wire, which copper is really high. I found out like Bear Bright's $4.50 a pound this week. We won't tell you what else I found out at the scrapyard. So I would say a off center fed dipole for $50-$60. Get some coax and some rope in your set.
There you go. It's a lot of great ideas there, and it's easy to if you just do a little bit of searching around online, and you'll find I found the guy now, our buddy, let me see, I'm gonna get back here to the screen. Whiskey Victor 1 Whiskey, Don, has got some great antenna projects on his website. And let's see if I go under POTA. He's got some books on Parks on the Air, but POTA antennas. This multi-band linked vertical, you can build this for pennies. Or dollars, but it's what we're talking about for instead of using spending $70 for the telescoping whip, you're just putting some wire in the air and getting on the air. WV1W Whiskey Victor 1 Whiskey.us, and you'll find his some really great antenna projects that are dirt cheap. And we'll tell you this: your first POTA activation is going to suck. Don't worry about it; it gets better. But you'll learn things, right? You'll learn how to set up. Like when you watch the video that's going to drop in a few weeks, me and Michael are setting up and tearing down in 2 minutes, right? And that's because we've been doing this for 10 years now. So we're pretty fast. So don't get frustrated, right? No, really. I mean, by the time you set up the camera to do the teardown, I got the antenna down and in the truck. At one point in time, I was like, hold on, I didn't get that on tape. The first time you try setting up an antenna, you're going to have a struggle. So get a friend to come out with you, get some help. But after a while, it's so easy to get those set up. You see, at one point, Michael says, he goes 11 lengths for the whip for 20 meters, right? We don't even need to throw the analyzer on it. We know where it's at. So, absolutely.
Like I said, we've been doing it for a while, but once you get used to it, you get your own antenna and you do it a few times. It ain't too bad.
No, absolutely. Got another thing here. Henry Bowman is asking, if you had to pick one, which would you do? Elevated whip or magic carpet? Elevated whip is always going to give you, your best performance, your biggest bang for the buck. But the magic carpet, really is no slouch either. And I think, if I was to only pick one, I might even just stick with the ground antenna with the magic carpet, and the reason being is that sometimes you're in situations where you know even setting up this and the elevated counterpoises, they take up a little bit of space, and you might not have the space, or you might not have the time to get an antenna on the air quickly. So laying that ground mounted radial out, and then just throwing a whip up on top of it really just expedites your deployment, and you can be on the air in 4 minutes or less. It takes a couple more to get that that performer, the elevated antenna, up on the air.
Yeah, the thing I was going to say is, if you have the ability, if you're going to like remote sites where there's not a lot of people or infrastructure around, you got a little bit of room. The performer is great. If you're activating from a parking lot, you're probably going to want a magic carpet.
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents on it. Especially if there's a lot of people that are going to trip over like the counterpoise for the performer. You take that into consideration. And Michael and I, we've done both. We've operated from our car in a parking lot. We've operated from the middle of nowhere. So we've operated in big cities, and we've operated in the middle of nowhere. And each antenna so we've done 15-minute activations, we've done 15-hour activations.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a 15-hour activation, or you're going to be there all weekend, put some wire in a tree if you can. If you just want to get there, set up, and get out of there in 45 minutes, well, then you're probably going to just use like a magic carpet or something.
Yeah, something quick and dirty, ground mounted. Really, like I said, speeds it up. A video I did a few weeks ago. I was in a state park, and a national scenic trail runs through the park, and I wanted to do the twofer. But you got to be within 100 feet of the trail, but the trail ran right next to this big parking area. So I had to be in a very precise parking spot with my car in order to stay within those boundaries. And since it was a busy place, the magic carpet was sitting just right in front of the car on the grass median between all these parking stalls. So it was tight.
In September, I was in the Twin Cities for my sister-in-law's wedding, and the morning of, I had some time, right? So I would get a park in, and there was this one park by the Minnesota River, and it kind of goes down into the area, and that parking lot was just jam-packed. So I got my truck up to the curb, and I have the antenna directly behind the truck because there's no room. So there's that. Nowadays, or like when you do a hamstick activation and you just got the whip on top of the roof, sometimes all you got is the roof of your vehicle. So that's why we have the hamsticks. So these antennas do work, right? You can make your own. You can go store-bought. You can go real fancy store-bought. We just showed the chameleon roll-up ground radials,
the Faraday strips.
Those are fancy, and they are quick. Or you can spend $10 at Home Depot and get some aluminum screen. So I'm gonna grab one more whip question here before we get into the break. Nathan just bought the Innovato 25-foot whip with the ground spike antenna, 4 18-foot radios. Does setup or work okay, or would it set up like it'll work? Setting up this whip with your 4 18-foot radials is going to work just like how we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes. Elevated versus ground mounted radials. Your 4 18-foot radios are going to have an equivalent performance of what we're finding with like the ground screen or the Faraday cloth. So what you do is the whip, you'll just raise or lower the whip, contract it or expand it depending on what band you're going to be on. So
20 meter band, you'll be at about 17 feet. 15 meter band, it would be about 12 feet. 10 meter band, about 8 feet, give or take.
Yeah.
And then that'll be a resonant quarter wave for each of those bands.
Right. And with 4 18-foot radios, you won't really have to mess around with the length. The one thing that you'll find is that with radios, rolling them up and keeping them from tangling is a struggle.
Yep.
It's a struggle.
It's
not fun. So after you do that for a while, you'll probably like, oh man, does that magic carpet really work? And it does.
It does.
And it really makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
But so going back to the chameleon roll-up radials, or Faraday strips or whatever they call them, those don't get tangled, and that gives you performance the same that you would have with those 18-foot radials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're nice and wide and they don't tangle up. They're really convenient.
Right.
With your Innovato antenna system, you could elevate it, and then instead of using your 4 18-foot radios, then now you're going to use a tuned resonant counterpoise like the Performer antenna, KJ6 ER's Performer. So. Right.
Yeah, and then normally what we do with the Performer is you make the counterpoise for the lowest band that you're going to run with it, probably 40 meters, and then you just put a little piece of tape at your links for 20, 17, 15, 10, so on and so forth.
Yep.
And that becomes really quick to set up. And like we said in the past, you don't want to spend all day setting up your antennas. You want to get them up quick and get on the air. So
absolutely. So.
You don't want to. I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. You don't want to screw around with radios. I remember this one time. Oh my God. 3 radios. I think I was using like 33-foot radios for 40 meters. And I bet you it took me 20 minutes to get them damn things untangled.
Oh yeah.
And that was the last time I did it. I said, screw this, I'm going to get a magic carpet. And I was laughing at Michael because Faraday cloth. Oh, it's special. Then
it's special.
2 weeks later, I'm on Amazon ordering Faraday cloth. Like, God, what the hell happened?
You got everything tangled up. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm like, man, I was really stupid.
Yeah, I know. I got a big tangled mess of radials in my antenna box. I got to put that. Hopefully this weekend I could get that box cleaned out. So
yeah, I know the feeling. The one thing though is, I say this, but I have unlimited access to wire, right? Like I always have extra wire laying around here. In fact, I found another box of just scrap wire laying around the other day. I'm like, oh well, maybe I should go take this in because Bear Bright's $4.50 a pound. Some people don't necessarily have that, but again, you can go to Home Depot and you can get the cheapest spool of wire you can find. Don't get solid wire, just get cheap stranded wire. And that'll
stranded wire, yeah.
Cheap is good.
There you go. Speaker wire even works. For a cheap wire.
Oh God, they've been making antennas out of speaker wires for 100 years.
Oh, absolutely.
since they were speakers. We're using that stuff. We just called it wire before they invented speakers, right?
All right. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour. In fact, we're past the bottom of the hour, and this is the time I usually like to take a break and acknowledge all of the people that do everything they do to help make this show a success, and that's our patrons over at patreon.com. And we got some new ones in the month of December on our supporter level. Michael, KE7MJR, and our friend level, Noob2, joined us in the month of December. So thank you for your support. And then the people that really go over and above is our associate producers. These are the people that really, they're at our highest level, and they really help keep the show running. Larry, Mark, Lyle, Michael, Tom, Michael, Mark, Kyle, Tim, and Dave, KA3ZJW, is our newest associate producer. So thanks for joining the team. Bill, Brian, Dave, Don, Joel, John, Conrad, Jason, and Ron. So thank you so much for your support. It's really appreciated. You might want to check out the Patreon site. We've got some cool stuff that happens over there. Every week, I got a newsletter. It usually gives you a little bit of behind the scenes kind of stuff from a video, things that maybe didn't make it into the video, a topic that I want to expand on, and we get that into the into the newsletter, and that comes out the same day the video launches. If you're a Patreon, you get to see the video a day early without commercials too.
So, yeah, and maybe you get to see my truck get stuck in an abandoned ammo plant. I don't know.
Oh man, Joe and I shot a video this last weekend, and there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes.
There were a few spots where, like, I don't know if this was a good idea.
So, yeah, if you month of January be a good one to join. Mm-hmm. That's over at patreon.com/KB9VBR antennas. Go check it out. It's a lot of stuff on there, both old and new. And with that, I'm just going to take a brief pause for a message from our sponsor. KB9 VBR antennas are simple, effective, and affordable VHF and UHF antennas for amateur radio, MURS, public safety, and GMRS. Made in the USA with quality parts. Get yours online at jpol-antenna.com. And like I said earlier, if you want to really support the channel, buy an antenna, and you get something nice, and it helps me out. So.
Yeah. Speaking of videos, you kind of had that extra video this week with Seymour Cray and Cray Supercomputers.
Yeah.
Oh, that brings me back to my childhood, like seeing the pictures of this Cray supercomputer, black with the red stripes and everything. Like, oh my Lord,
the colors
are so cool.
The little you can sit, the nice little couch area you can sit on, and
it's got its own air conditioner compressor in it.
Yeah. Well, they were liquid cooled. They actually the fastest of the fast were the entire components were submerged in non-conductive liquid.
Yeah, like Freon or something, I think.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And if you ever get a chance to go to Chippewa Falls, well, there's the exit to Seymour Cray Junior Boulevard or whatever it is. There's Seymour Cray Senior Boulevard.
That's Seymour Cray Senior. That's I asked the museum about that. That road is named after his father.
Yeah,
Seymour Cray Senior.
He was a city. Was he a city commissioner or something?
No, he was the city engineer.
Ah, okay.
So he was a civil engineer, and he was a city engineer for Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, for many years.
Ah, okay. I did not know that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they named that. Yeah, they named when they finished the bypass around the city. They named that road after Craig Senior.
Yeah, because isn't that old Highway 29, or is that a different road?
It was old 29. Yeah, would came in through town. So.
Okay. Well, there you go. Now we learned something else besides ham radio stuff.
Yeah, but that's I loved. I mean, when I was young, I love reading computer back in the 80s. Read these computer magazines, and you read about the Cray computers. How fast they were, and just solving
their biggest customers were the Pentagon and CIA and stuff.
And the three letter agencies, National Weather Service, and then all the nuclear labs had them.
Yes. Yes, man, that's insane.
Yeah. An interesting fact, we were talking about Cray computers, and unfortunately this didn't make it into the video because I didn't learn about it until I was well into the production of this video. Is that Cray, when he was designing these supercomputers, most of the stuff he was doing on notepads, legal pads. This was back in the 60s and the 70s, and it was all pen and paper. But what he did is that all of the wire wrapping from component to component was precisely identical in length. Every wire had to be the same length so that because when you've got, wires at different lengths, electrons are going to arrive at their destinations at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll cause a time-based problem. So not only so he had to figure out how to make every wire the same length, but then he also, for all of these connections, he went through all of Maxwell's equations to figure out velocity and skew and all this other stuff, so that the RF, the electromagnetic RF from these wires, one wire to the other, would not cause an issue. And
nowadays it's all this is done on one chip. 40 years later.
Yeah, absolutely. But he was doing this on paper, frickin' paper. And the guy is just absolutely amazing. So.
Yeah. Man, I wish he was a ham. We'd probably see some real cool stuff.
So he was a radio operator in World War II,
mm-hmm.
and after the war, he enrolled in the University of Minnesota electrical engineering. He's got a master's in applied mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking through old call directories to see if I could figure out what his call sign was, because I thought, well, he must be a ham or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through, I don't know how many years I went through, and I found that between 1947 and 1952, there's a call sign was issued to Seymour Cray of Mills Street in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
W9TFM, but he only had it for 5 years, and then it disappeared. And
yeah. Wow, so he might have been a ham.
He might have been a ham, and maybe when he was in college at the university, electrical engineering, you
mm-hmm.
probably got your license, so you could, I don't know, learn about RF or something like that.
So I think there was something. The radio operators in World War II, when they came back, they were eligible for, I think, like a Class 3 commercial license.
Okay.
Radio telephone license. I think that's how it was. So if you were an operator, you could come back and you could apply and get the Class 3 license, which is basically what we would call like a technician, an amateur, but it was like the basic radio telephone operator. Now in commercial, there's only one. It's the GROL, general radio operator. But there used to be, even if you wanted to be a DJ on the air of a radio station, you had to at least have a Class 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was back in the day. Well, I wonder if I could research that to see if he had that back in the day too. One thing that leads me to believe that past 1952 he was not a ham or an amateur radio operator would be that in some of the biographies I've read about Cray, that lists his hobbies, some of the things he liked to do. And he was like an outdoors person. He enjoyed tennis, skiing, windsurfing. So those were 3 big outdoor activities that the guy liked to do. And now this is really weird. He was a tunneler. He was building tunnels underneath his house.
Really?
And yeah, like 8-foot ceiling cedar beam tunnels.
Huh.
And when he was in one anecdote I read is that when he was stuck with a problem, he would go work on his tunnel for a few hours and dig and dig and dig. And when he comes back, he said, living in northern Wisconsin, there's a lot of elves in the woods, and these elves would solve, while I'm out working on the tunnel, the elves would solve my problems.
He might have been a wee bit autistic.
Oh, the guy had to be. There's no doubt about it. Just the sheer level of focus. It's.
The elves solved my problem.
The elves solved my problems.
Either that or he's smoking some wacky tobacco, one or the other.
No, I don't know. So it's interesting person, and that's Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, the home of the world's first supercomputers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
interesting.
Yeah. Somebody was asking a quick question here. Ricky again. How often do people ask you what you're doing when you're out for POTA? Sometimes they ask, sometimes they don't. Depends on if you're in how busy the place is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got people approach me. I got no problem with that. And usually I just say, I leave it really kind of vague. Really not vague, but just I give them the minimal amount of information. Oh, I'm just doing ham radio. I like to come out here because it's a nice place and there's no noise and it's fun to get on the air. And then I'll just tell them a few of the places I've talked to: California, New York, Florida, etc. And that 90% of the time, that absolutely satisfies their curiosity.
Yeah, I had one ranger ask me once, "Oh, are you doing some research or something?" I'm like, "No, ham radio."
Yeah.
Oh, huh. You catch anything? No, not hunting. Okay, have a good one.
Yep.
Like he was really just checking. I think it was a couple years ago when we were doing. It was on our camp out. I went out to one of them. He's like, "Oh, are you hunting?" I'm like, "No, I'm no hunting." That's all he wanted to do is make sure I had a license. If I had a gun in the truck. So. And I did it, so we're good.
Last month, I had some old farmer approach me, and he asked me if I was what I was doing, and I said ham radio, and he said, "Oh, I thought you were out here tracking wolves or something."
There are no wolves where there are farmers. We'll just say that.
And then he goes into this big story about how his son was out deer hunting and shot a buck. And it was late, so he was gonna track it the next morning, and then goes out and finds the deer the next day, and the wolves had totally torn it apart.
Yeah. Sometimes you find out more than you bargained for.
Yeah. Tabuman said, "My father-in-law went to high school with Seymour Cray, so he had a lot of stories. So that's really cool." So that would have been a neat experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was going to bring something up here. Man, we really got to talking. But saw something online today, and I think this is something we need to probably talk about, especially when we're talking about window screens and Faraday cloth. But
put your safety helmets on, folks.
Put your safety on. Terrence, K04KP. I've met Terry. He's a great guy. Never throw Faraday cloth onto the back seat if there is a battery back there. Enough said.
Ooh.
So.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah, that's bad. You could be looking for a new car real quick.
Yeah, and it's Faraday cloth, EMP cloth. It's conductive material because basically it's polyester with woven nickel and other metal threads in it. So if they hit those contacts of a battery, you could definitely create a short. Just like you take a 9-volt battery and put some steel wool on it, that'll get going, and you can actually light that steel wool on fire and get yourself get your campfire going with a little bit of steel wool and a 9-volt battery. So it's
yeah. It reminds me. So when I was in high school, I had a friend that came over, and his car was always dying, and we're always working on it. We're doing something, and he was changing the battery in my front yard, and he had a Craftsman ratchet. How do I know it was a Craftsman ratchet? Well, when he showed the positive to the frame of the car, he had Craftsman written across his palm from that ratchet. So I mean, it's an instant short circuit, so the current spikes instantly. Those batteries, they're rated for maybe 20 or 30 amps, but realistically, in a short circuit situation, you'll have 1,000 amps until either a fuse blows or until you burn the wire up. So yeah, it gets hot real quick, and that will cause a problem. I've always worried about this. In fact, I used to use the old lead acid batteries, right? And they had the little tabs on top, and then when they started doing lithium iron phosphate, I still had a couple of those, and I got to the point where I worried about that so much. Yeah, you can put tape or a cover or something on it, but sooner or later you're going to have a short. So I've just gone now to the Bio-NO batteries with the pigtail, and all of the terminals are covered up, and I don't worry about that too much anymore.
That's the way to do it. I know on some of my smaller batteries, I've got the terminals covered with tape. Larger batteries, I've 3D print. They've got the studs are like an 11 millimeter or 13 millimeter bolt. So I've been able to 3D print covers that snap onto that stud, that bolt stud, and that gives you that extra that level of protection. You don't inadvertently short circuit. I know Dave, he likes to box his batteries for protection, and we think, I don't, these lithium iron phosphate batteries, they're lightweight, and but they pack a punch, and I think we kind of underestimate their power, what they can do if you were actually to short circuit across the terminals.
Right. Even at 12 volts, 30 amps is 30 amps, 50 amps, 100 amps, or however much it spikes up to in that short. And again, it's instantaneously. It's not like a couple seconds. It's there right away.
Yeah.
And so, like the example you had with the steel wool, well, that wool is very thin, even in the rougher grades. So it'll glow red hot in a couple seconds. And same thing with that Faraday cloth. It's only going to take a couple seconds for that to glow red hot. And if that's in the back of your car, it can very easily catch fire, very easily. So I guess, we've talked safety in terms of like power lines and some other things, but that's a real big one. That's a very realistic problem right there.
Yeah, we might have to do something on battery safety. Maybe sacrifice a battery and some cloth just to show what could happen.
It's been a while since we've had a fire, Michael. In fact, my 2000 volt transformer that actually just went out in the the scrapyard the other day. I took that out too, so I don't have high voltage to play with, but we could certainly do a test with some batteries and some fun.
We could do, we'll have to
in the snow.
In the snow, we'll find. But it'll probably be in a month or so when it gets a little bit warmer. So
because remember, it's January. January, we got to spend all the month making antennas and putting them up.
Yeah.
Because if you don't put this antenna up when it's 30 below and 3 feet of snow, it doesn't work.
Yep.
That's in an antenna handbook somewhere. I swear to God. I think Rob Hemmel, it's like chapter 4 or 5.
Battery safety?
No, putting up the antenna in January.
In January. Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is. Let's see. Another Faraday cloth question. Do you have to ground the Faraday cloth to the antenna or what? Please explain. Yes, the Faraday cloth needs to have a ground connection or a connection to the ground side of the antenna. So when you think of a vertical antenna, just like a dipole, you got two halves. The part that, the vertical whip that radiates, and then the ground side that is sort of like your ground plane. And the ground side of the antenna, if you're using the Faraday cloth, needs to be connected to that cloth somehow. If you're using an all-metal base or tripod, that base might give you continuity from the ground side of the antenna to the cloth, so you can just set the base right on top of the cloth. Otherwise, if it's not, then you're going to need some jumpers or something like that to give you that ground side continuity.
Right. So with my setup, I have that flag base, that big wide, and it probably weighs about 8-10 pounds. It's pretty hefty, but that alone is a good enough connection, a good enough bond to the what we're calling ground, or what the braided part of the coax, right? When I first did the Faraday cloth, I did have a jumper, but I have seen no difference in SWR with it on or off. So at least if you got a good metal base that is connected to the ground portion of the antenna, and if you put that right on top of your Faraday cloth, that's usually good. Now, Dave is freaking out right now because he will tell you absolutely you need to have a jumper. And Dave is not wrong, but it works for me. So I'm not saying you're wrong, Dave. I'm just saying it works.
Oh my. So let's pull this up here. NNASAB. Got a hex beam antenna for Christmas. I was wondering if I can mount it on a pipe and what kind of pipe. If you want to elevate the hex beam, I think ideally the peak, the goal, they're designed to work sort of ground level, 4 or 5 feet in the air, but you're probably going to get your best performance if you can get it up about 15 feet. You really don't have to go further than 20 feet. So if you can get it up 12, 15 feet, you'll see a little bit of a enhancement in performance. Beyond that, you don't have to get any higher than that. It's going to be, plus you're going to also have to be able to adjust the antenna too once you're changing bands. So you don't want to go too high. You want it at a realistic height. As for type of material, I mean, like you could, if you wanted to go cheap, you could do like fencing top rail, but that is heavy to work with. There's some masts out, some like DX Engineering's got some pretty substantial push-up masts that'll go up maybe 15, 20 feet. Something really cheap that would work. Go to Harbor Freight and get their 20-foot American flag pole. And if you wanted to use it portable, you can get a drive-on base, or it comes with a concrete kit so that you can plant it into the ground. But yeah, that'll get it up 20 feet, the perfect height for the hex beam. And because it's collapsible, you can bring it down, make your adjustments, and you can push it back up again.
Yeah,
and they're like $75. So,
honestly, I've never used a hex beam. I've never played with one. I don't know. So I'm going to be kind of quiet on this one and say I don't know if I can help you.
That's what I would do. In fact, I've done that not with the hex beam, with other dipole, rigid dipole antennas, like with 2 17-foot whips.
Yeah.
And it works. It works. That Harbor Freight flagpole works.
Yeah, if you're doing something semi-permanent, you could always use rigid pipe or rigid conduit too, right?
Yeah.
It's not hard to get 15 feet of conduit together. Just one coupling. Wider is better. I mean, 2-inch would be nice and sturdy. But you could probably get away with 1.5 inches if you're doing like 10-foot or something, and you could stick it up that way too.
Absolutely. So, yeah, Harbor Freight for the win. Sometimes that place comes in clutch. Other times it's
it's hit or miss.
Hit or miss.
Their cases, their Apache cases, are stupid cheap, and they're great for small radios and stuff. So,
yeah,
take that out with what you will. Intent.
I got one of their dirt cheap angle grinders. Those are bad. Best $15 angle grinder you're ever going to buy.
I think I have a Black & Decker one that we got 15 years ago. The Black & Decker finger wrecker, and I use it once every 3. I have a work one that if I really need something, I just kind of grab that one. But that thing has been sitting around forever, and every now and then I break it out for a project.
It seems like one of the last. I think anytime I ever had to use it is to cut something off of my son's truck that was falling off. So
right. Harbor Freight, the Baofeng of Snap-on tools. Yes, it is. Why buy one overpriced one when you can buy 50 cheap ones?
I needed a torque wrench, and I only needed to use it once, so I got the Harbor Freight torque wrench.
Oh yeah. I have a 1/4-inch Harbor Freight torque wrench. Sometimes you're doing panel work and you got to torque things down. That thing has come in handy, and they're fairly accurate.
Yeah,
they're reasonably accurate. So
good enough.
Right.
So.
But if you watch mechanic videos on YouTube or something, all those guys are using Pittsburgh stuff.
Yeah,
they all are. So, or the U.S. General toolboxes. Everyone rocks those. They're just so cheap, and then when they die, you just go get a new one.
You go get a new one. That's right.
Right.
Oh man. We were going to talk about some events that are coming up in January, and it's a busy month.
Yeah, there's a lot to do ham radio wise in January.
Yeah, let's kind of take these in order. Throughout the entire month, over at hamactive.com it's called Winter Heat, and Winter Heat is it's a VHF operating activity. A funny thing is that VHF works. You can get some surprising DX with VHF, especially 2 meters and to a certain degree the 6 meter band, because it's the ground level is so cold. You get, if you get some warm air aloft, all of a sudden now you get some really nice tropoducting. It's easy to do in months like January. But this whole winter heat thing started out a few years ago in Illinois, and I think it's really spread across the Midwest, because it's a website that'll have where you make 2 meter contacts, you log the contacts on the website, and then they got leaderboards and whole 9 yards, and it started today and it runs through the end of January. So if you're you can do it anywhere in the country. Like I said, the most it's kind of started in the Midwest, and it's sort of branching out from there. So check it out. The next big thing is, speaking of VHF, is the January VHF contest from ARRL. And this happens on January 17th through the 19th. And there it is. What are we doing? We're collecting grid squares, I believe. Yep. 50 megahertz and above. Fun contest. There's actually, the VHF contest runs twice a year, once in January and then another time in June. So, which is another good time to get on the air for your VHF, UHF frequencies. So you might want to check out the VHF contest coming up the middle of the month. Yeah, if we had Mike N2MAK on here, I mean he'd be all over this, because he's a big VHF user, but I don't see him checking in here yet today.
What is CY9 and CY0? I mean, that's Canada, I suppose.
Let's see, stations in KH0 to 9, KL7, KP1 count as. I think CY9 and CY0 are Canadian stations.
Okay.
If I remember catching those on the 10 meter contest, and I think they resolved for like Newfoundland, Labrador, or something like that.
Okay, way out on the far
Nova Scotia. Yeah, way out there. Yep. the far reaches of Canada. So
The far reaches of Canada.
So check those out. And then, of course, the biggie is coming up January 24th and 25th. It's Winter Field Day.
Woohoo!
And kind of looking forward.
I look forward to Winter Field Day more than I look forward to Field Day, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
I think I'm coming to that point too. The nice thing about Winter Field Day, well, you can go hardcore and operate outdoors in a tent, or if you're in sunny California in your shirt sleeves. If you're us in the upper Midwest, it's in the ice fishing shanty.
Right.
Or you can be comfortable inside the Lux accommodations. And
sitting in your recliner right next to your Justin Bieber light.
Your touch lamp, so that every time you use the radio, the lamp starts flashing on and off. And that's what we're going to be doing this year. Again.
There's our cabin.
This is where we're staying. Charming cottage on Rocha Cree in a private pier. Beautiful, pet friendly. Yeah,
pet friendly for you, Michael. Just as long as you don't mitrate on the carpet.
Yep. So, unfortunately, the lake is going to be frozen. So, maybe we can do a little bit of hard water fishing that weekend. We could sit in. I suppose we could sit in the 3-season porch, or we could sit inside. It's around the fire.
No, we're gonna stay warm inside.
No, this is
gonna be cold.
This is the main operating position right there. So that recliner, that's where I'll be operating from.
I usually operate in the bar room.
I think you're in if I scroll down, there's our kitchen. Dave likes to set up on last year he sat up on the kitchen table. Which was nice. And here's Joe's spot in the back on the high top.
Yep.
So
good spot to be in.
Good spot to be in. And beautiful. It's a fairly good sized lot, so that's gonna be
lots of big trees that are spread out. So we had no problem getting antennas up. You had a little bit of problem getting that 132-foot end fed up.
I had it out into the lake, and I wasn't really expecting to have the number of issues I did trying to secure a fiberglass mast out on the ice, and that was my big challenge. So I may not do that again.
Right.
But we had a couple wires up, we had a couple verticals up, and we didn't do half bad. So that's what we're doing for Winter Field Day. It's going to be luxurious again, and we'll take the hit operating indoor or whatever. I guess it's, what is it called?
We're not home, we're indoor.
We're indoor.
Yeah.
Rules.
Of course, when we were packing up last year, it was cold, but there was no snow on the ground. So the problem that we had is the septic tank froze up, and as we're leaving, we're like, "What's that smell?" So we had to make a call to the owner saying, "Hey, get the septic tank checked."
Unfortunately, it was. There had been some cold weather and no snow, and the drain field froze, and we maxed the holding tank that weekend.
Well, actually, the weekend before there were individuals out there consuming, and I think that probably maxed it out, and we just kind of topped it off.
Indoor station. Station operating away from home, but inside an insulated, weather-protected building or structure on a permanent foundation. Indoor stations typically have plumbing, heating, cooling, and running water. So we'll be indoors.
Well, I mean, So if the septic tank freezes up again, does that mean we no longer qualify as indoor?
No, I think we're still indoors.
Okay.
Unless it drives us outside.
Right.
Let's see. I saw
Well,
on here.
then we really have a situation.
Oh, we do.
Oh.
There's just has been some big changes this year. Several objectives have been added. The alternative power objective has changed this year, so we got to pay attention to that. An additional 12-band objective was added, and I think that's the one that really caught my attention. Let's see if we can find the objectives here. Whereas Summerfield Day just has multipliers, usually the Winterfield Day tends to have more skill-based objectives for your multipliers. But this one I found was kind of interesting. Here it is. Make 3 contacts on at least 12 different bands. Last year it was 6. But now they're looking to get a ×6 multiplier. If you can make at least 3 contacts on 12 different bands, 3 contacts per band. So that's going to be interesting.
So 160, 80, 40, 20, 15, 10, 6, 2, 220, 440, 900, and 1296. That's 12.
That's
not
12.
Not including the work bands. I don't think you can work on 60 or the work bands.
No, you can't. Yeah.
So that's going to be all bands. Yeah, and realistically, you're not going to make a contact on 900 or on 1296 unless you got it scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how many do you need on each one?
3.
Yeah, that might be a little bit out there. That might be a little bit out there, Winterfield Day Association.
But so that would be a 3 times. So that would be a 3 times or 6 times multiplier.
Mm-hmm.
They still have the 6-band objective though. So 3
and they're both 6 multipliers.
Yeah.
So if you get 12, you get 6. You get a 6 for the 6 and 6 for the 12.
I think so. You would get a 12x.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd have.
I don't see anyone doing that without pre-scheduled QSOs.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially on the higher bands.
Yeah.
Crazy.
6 you can do. 160, 80, 40, 20, 15, 10. You could reasonably do that. And yeah, we did do that last year because Dave was on the was it the RIDI contest in a 160?
Yeah, there was a RIDI contest, and he got all those 160 meter contacts.
Yeah, so yeah, you can do that. And Hamtel Hertz, I'll go to the outhouse when I damn well please. Okay, ooh, 2 potty words to this show. I'm getting mad.
You get promoted to outhouse.
Michael, remind me to tell you the outhouse story before the end of the show.
Oh my Lord!
We'll talk about that. So yeah, I just don't see the 12 band coming into play unless someone. Let me ask this: do they allow for pre-sched for sched contacts, or because that's spotting really? That's spotting.
That is a good question. I'd have to look here.
Right there, spotting during the event, spotting clusters. So you can spot.
You can spot yourself, yes.
As long as the originating transmission leaves your Winterfield Day site via amateur RF.
So,
yeah. I'm going to tell you what, we are not going to be making all 12. We'll get 6. We're not going to do 12. Yeah.
I think that's probably, That's probably operate 6 continuous hours during the event. Yeah, we'll be on the air for 6 hours straight.
Yeah.
So good deal. So yeah, looking forward to it. Should be good. It's usually, being indoors, you don't have to worry about the weather a whole lot. I think just for most years we've been pretty lucky when it comes weather-wise. I think that one year when we were out in the cabin in the middle of nowhere, it was colder than cold. But
I think we woke up and it was 25 below that morning, or 30 below, or something. I remember we were setting up antennas, and we had a little slingshot to get some wire in the tree, and the slingshot broke.
It was the rubber froze.
Oh my Lord. That was cold. Yeah. And all we had was wood heat in there. So it took a good 4 hours to get that cabin warmed up.
Thaw that cabin out. Oh,
yeah.
All right. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on in January. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell the story, I guess. I got to do it now.
Okay.
So last month, we had some amateur equipment at a tower site just north of here. It was a little privately owned tower, and we had to remove the equipment. And I kid you not, the shack was an outhouse. It was an outhouse retrofitted for ham radio. So there was no longer a seat. There was just a shelf.
Yep.
And that's where the 2 digipeaters were sitting. So I don't know why 2 guys had to go up there, because it was only a 1-holer when it was originally in use. But there were 2 guys up there. Like, can I give you a hand? No, wait, no, because only one guy can get in there.
One guy can get into the outhouse at a time.
Right. Like, you might as well just cut a moon in the door on that damn thing. Unbelievable. Of course, the mice damage in there was pretty extensive, so I kind of was reverted back to an outhouse. So.
Yeah. Those plastic outhouses might make, halfway decent enclosures for a repeater, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. My thought was like these little pre-made sheds. I always thought a pre-made shed would be really good. Or like a 20-foot container sea can.
Oh yeah.
Because those things are indestructible.
Yep.
And you can get them for like a used one, $3,000, $4,000, the 20-footers. If you shop around, you might get one cheaper. And they're waterproof. And a lot of people can retrofit those. I think there's kind of sort of a market out there where you can take those hinge doors off and put like an actual wall with a real door on it.
Sure.
You can insulate them, all sorts of things, and they will stay dry and they work very well. So, and plus, it's a big tin can, so RF doesn't get out.
Nope.
So it's isolated.
There you go. And the mice aren't going to claw their way in for the most part.
Won't.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I was going to pull this up. Old Dog Barbecue. Studying for my general. Is 80 and 160 meters worth the bother, or staying on 40, 20, and 10? 80 meters is good for like regional communications. That's where you're going to find the old guys jawing away on whatever. A lot of times there's a lot of nets on the 80 meter band, because it's traffic nets especially. It's easy to pass traffic within that 150 to 300 mile range. This time we're at the peak of the solar cycle. 80 is really challenging. There's been a lot of noise on the bands. Now we're in the winter months. It cleans up somewhat. It's for the most when we're at the peak here of the cycle. It's a nighttime band anyway.
Right.
So you're going to find the most activity well after the sun goes down. 160 meters. You really, in order to be for that band to be useful, you got to have the real estate for a 160 meter antenna. It's just it takes those antennas take a fair amount of space. Half wave antenna for 80 meters is 130 feet, so double that for 160 meters.
Right.
You're going to need 250, 260 feet of space if you want to put up like a dipole or an end fed on that band.
Yeah. Again, 75, 80 meters, absolutely. I think that's there's a lot of bread and butter, a lot of reg chews, a lot of nets. If you want to sit and talk with people, that's a good band to do it on. 75, 160. You gotta wanna.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta wanna. But there's some fun things you can do on 160. So don't discount it. And also, you also have expanded privileges on 60 meters.
Yeah.
Starting this month. So we'll probably talk about that more next time. We have a little more information on that. But the FCC has opened up a portion of 60 meters now for us as well. So again, that's going to be things that you can look into. And really, from a POTA perspective, 80 and 160, not so much. If you're gonna do portable activating, 80 and 160 aren't the way to go. But if you're at home, absolutely, you can have a lot of fun with those.
Yeah, I've done some late shift work on 80 meters, 80 meter phone. Usually during the winter months, 80 meter digital FT8 in the summertime works just fine because you don't have to worry about the noise so much. But it's I like 80 meters is a fun band in the evenings. It's a fun band just to kind of cruise around and listening to the colonoscopy net and the
the old guys are complaining about their lumbago.
Yeah, a lot of that. Like you said, 160 meters, you got to want to do it. I think it's people on 160 meter band are highly motivated because it takes a fair amount of effort to get there, and that usually that kind of pre-filters a lot of the garbage you'll find on the other bands.
Not necessarily. There's plenty of garbage on 160.
But I think you get a lot. If you thought there's a lot of rag chew on 80, it cranks up the next level to 160. So I'm not on 160 at all, honestly, because I just don't have the space for an antenna. But
I've done it a few times. It's fun. But I'm not much of a rag chewer. So
absolutely. So all right. Hey, we got somebody here. The Panda just got my call sign on Tuesday, and we're going to have to give you some applause for that one.
There you go.
I've been watching the videos over the past few weeks, finding an antenna idea has improved my HT range. Planning on joining Winter Field Day. Shameless plug here. My J-pole antenna works great with handheld radios. One of the nice things about the J-pole is basically it's a half-wave antenna. It's a medium gain antenna, so it's not going to be so powerful that it's going to overload the front end of your handheld radio, and that's important when you're connecting an external antenna to a handheld, because number one, they don't have a whole lot of output power, so an external antenna definitely gives them a boost, but also their front ends are not the best thing out there, just because of the small size of the transceiver itself.
When we say front end, that's the receiver, the portion that mixes down the signal into the receiver. Some of your the cheaper radios of all things, if they're a direct conversion radio receiver, and what that means is that basically it just takes that signal and dumps it right into a signal processor without any mixing and filtering. And those bow things, you can really overload the receiver very easily, and then you have audio problems. The higher end radios generally have like a double het receiver, a double heterodyne, and those are a little better, but they can still be affected by that overloading the receiver. Your commercial radios, like the Motorola's and stuff, those are a little more robust on the receiver end. But if you just have a Baofeng, spend the extra $20. What's the name of the company that makes 19-inch whip?
Nagoya? No.
Nagoya makes them too, but I'm thinking about the ones they also run the ham study.
Are you thinking of Signal Stick?
Signal Stick, yes. For like $25, get a Signal Stick. It's a 19-inch whip, which is a quarter wave on 2 meters. Yep. And that thing works amazing. That'll take a UV5R, and you'll have a decent little radio. Now the antenna costs as much as the radio. In retrospect, it's all relative, right? But for $25, you spin that on there. The 19-inch whip, it might poke you in the ear once or twice, but it works so much better than the rubber duck antenna. So there's my 2 thoughts. Otherwise, if you're able to get some coax and get a J-pole in the air, that'll help you a lot too, especially if you're working inside.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and it's not out of the question to get some, to hit wide area repeaters up to 50 miles away or more with your handheld radio with a good external antenna. So consider that.
Someone put on there to get LMR 400 for a J-pole. If you're going to permanently mount it, that's not a bad idea.
My general rule is this: it's if you're going to be if you're going GMRS 462 megahertz, absolutely LMR 400 is almost necessary. But if we're talking the 2 meter band, my general rule is that if it depends on what your feed line run is. 25 feet or so, you can get by with
8x
25 50 feet. Now you want to be thinking about RG8U or RG213. 75 feet or more, then LMR 400 is going to be your best best thing to go with.
LMR, and there's other forms of LMR. There's 400, 600, I think there's 800. It's stiff. Right? So if you're going to put it up, it's going to be in a permanent situation. If you had a little tower, you'd want to use that. The RG8X8U, it's cheap and it's lightweight, but it doesn't hold up as well. If you were to, I wouldn't put it on a tower because you don't want to have to climb the tower in 3 years and fix it.
Yep.
LMR is better for a tower.
Yeah.
But then distance and frequency, that all comes into it as well. I don't have any LMR in the house, but my run for 2 meters is 30 feet. So there's that.
Yeah. I think Jason says he's got R58 right now, but he's only using 18 feet. That's not bad. It's you're perfectly. I think you're fine with that. Anything more than 25 feet with RG58, though, I would. Yeah.
For VHF and UHF.
Absolutely. For VHF, UHF, I would,
Right. HF purposes, run 58 all day.
Yeah. Sonic had something here. RG316 might be good, I think. 316 is a very thin coax. And originally its purpose is for very short jumpers and interconnects, but people that like to do lightweight, backpacking and that want to carry coax with them will carry maybe a longer run of 316. I've got 316 in my vehicle for the mobile rig in my vehicle, from the antenna mount and then threaded all the way around the lift gate and whatnot. And it works really well for that because it's so thin that I could get it into these crevices, from where the antenna is mounted, but to the radio. But I know I'm taking a hit. I'm probably cutting my power in half. Who knows with that cable.
Yeah, 316 is good for jumpers. I wouldn't use it for putting an antenna up.
No, nothing more than 10 feet or so, 10, 15 feet. Knowing full well that you're gonna take a hit. HF 25 feet. I've got some of that 316 I'll use for short cable runs if I want to take pack out something lightweight. So.
Yeah, if you really want to challenge, for 10 gig they make a Coax. It's a small stuff, and it's like RG 402 or maybe 405. For 2 feet, you're going to pay about $100. That's with the connectors.
Yeah,
I don't recommend that. That's expensive, especially when you're breaking on your first activation.
Yeah. Yeah, 20 feet of 316 for HF, minimum losses, absolutely. It's good. It's good for that if you need a super lightweight solution.
You can use RG9 or RG59, RG11. You can use for HF if you really wanted to. You can use ladder line for HF. You can use open feeder if you want to for HF, right? HF is very forgiving when it comes to feed line.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, open feed line is your best. It's going to be your lowest loss, of course. So, especially on the HF frequencies. Yeah, that's a good jumper for running through a door or window. Yeah, that's why it's you'll find it in vehicle installations because it's just so easy. Today's cars are just terrible for.
Yeah, and in a car you're only going to use 10, 12 feet at most. So.
Then you run a mobile with 50 watts, you'll overcome the losses of the feed line. Yeah. But you bring up a good point with the 75 ohm cable, RG9, RG11, and RG6, or 59, 11, and 6. Those are actually, even though it's 75 ohm cable, you can get they have relatively low losses in them. So you can get some nice cable, some runs, especially the HF frequencies, with minimal loss.
Right.
And
And if you're using a dipole, which generally has a input impedance of about 72 ohms, 75 ohm coax would be a nice match.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say that exactly. If you're running monoband dipoles, use 75 ohm cable, and don't worry about run it right into the transceiver. Your SWR is going to be minimal, and it's gonna work gangbusters.
Right.
Okay. Somebody said, excuse me, I'd like to try the new ABR 174. I've heard good things. I don't know anything about this cable, so I would have to.
ABR 174.
ABR 174 cable.
Well, let's just Google that. It doesn't show me much, give me much information on it. But it's cheap. It's 70 cents a foot.
Oh, they don't tell me anything. ABR 174. Okay. I think we're going to have to.
We'll do some research on that and get back to you next month for that.
Oh, I found a data sheet. So
26 gauge, so it's small, bare copper.
Yep. 3.9. Okay, at 30 megahertz, it's per 100 feet. It's got 3.9 dB of loss. VHF 9 dB of loss. So again, I think this is like RG 174. It's just an ABR part number, ABR 174. Yeah, again, like your RG 316, that's going to be ideally you're going to want to use that as a jumper cable more than something that's for any kind of serious cable run, but it'll unless we got the wrong cable on here, but yeah, it's going to be super lightweight. That's for sure.
Right.
If that's what you're
well, we'll have to look into this more.
yeah,
See what's going on with that.
yeah, I think it's a lot like, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's a lot like RG316. So yeah, so lower loss than RG174, but who knows? Yeah, we'll have to I'll have to look at compare the whatever the Belden version versus the ABR and see what the difference is between the two. So, but that sounds interesting. So, all right. So I think we've kind of explored cables here. The best. We're kind of running out of time here on the show. There was one last thing I wanted to talk about, though, very quickly. And this is a message I got from James out across the pond in the UK. He wasn't sure he was going to be able to see the live stream this evening because of the time difference, but he's saying he was just messaging me, and he said, it seems like FT8 has well and truly trumped all other digital modes when it comes to popularity. I hardly hear any PSK31 outside of contests. Now, as an example, how do you see the future of other digital modes such as PSK31, Olivier, etc.? A rosy future, or are they on extended life support? So,
well, I don't know. I mean, we've always thought that you hear the end of APRS and it comes back.
Yeah,
there's still people that do packet. There's still people that do RIDI. So I think as long as they're available, they'll still be used.
Yeah.
So my thought, I've explained my thought on FT8 quite a bit, and I think it has its purpose. But I think what really made FT8 popular is it was really coming into its prime during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also at the bottom of the sunspot cycle. So like it was kind of a perfect storm. Everyone got on that FT8 bus, and it really worked out well for it. I think that something will surpass it someday, though. We're always coming up with new ideas, and now the FCC is starting to loosen up some of those digital end requirements. So we may see different modes coming in the future that might one day make FT8 the PSK31 is right now.
Yeah. Well, I think what really popularized PSK31 is I remember when PSK was brand new. That was about the time I first got my license, and that was when the first of the interfaces came out. The radio computer interfaces, the original Rig Blaster, and PSK used the sound card on your computer for the modulation, and then with the proper interface, then the whole the world was your oyster. You could operate that one, and it ran. PSK ran great guns for 8-10 years or so.
Yeah.
And just because of that, computers, in the early 2000s, computers had cheap sound cards in them. We had inexpensive rig interfaces, and that really popularized PSK31. And also, with that, in that same vein, all of a sudden you saw these other modes get a new breath of life out of them. You talk about Olivier. Olivier is an old mode. Feldhell is an old mode. Some of the oldest, those old facsimile modes. They all of a sudden, people are playing with those again. It made RTTY easier to get on the air with, because otherwise, you needed to have a TNC, that could do RTTY. So then that was, I don't think Gritty was really floundering, but it was, with the this sort of long 12 or 15 year run, we saw with the computer interfaces really brought these other modes to life, and then FT8 comes about.
Right.
And the ARL's Grid Square Challenge, it just blew everything away because it was so easy to collect grid squares with FT8, and it was, people loved it.
I was talking to a friend of ours, Mike, KB9DED. I just ran into him the other day. He's made almost 35,000 contacts in FT8.
Wow.
35,000 QSOs. I mean, it really has changed a lot of things, but it too will be surpassed by something someday.
Yeah, who knows? Something else will come down. Some other form of modulation. There's some mode that'll probably have, better, do what FT8 does even better. I like FT4 because FT8 is so slow. It's 15 seconds per exchange, and it takes 3 to 4 exchanges to get through everything.
Right.
And if you can get going on FT4, you cut that in half, which is that's a little bit more my speed. That doesn't feel like paint is drying.
Right. Yeah, but there's a trade to it. But look at slow scan TV. I mean, that used to be really popular as well, and and then it died off, and then it kind of made a comeback.
Well, because it was so easy to get back on the air with digital cameras and RF interfaces.
Now you can do it with your phone.
Yeah,
it's so easy. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think the problem with these other digital modes is that it's like Yogi Berra, if nobody goes on them anymore because they're so popular, or that with FT8 or maybe the opposite of that. If you want it to see higher utilization in these modes, you got to go on the modes and call CQ. Because I think I saw somebody in here say, Traveling Ham is doing digital POTA campaign to get so there you go. Dave's been famous for doing that. KZ9V, he'll do a PSK activation, a RIDI activation. I think he's even tried to get contacts via slow scan.
And remember, the original digital mode, CW, is still widely used, right?
Yeah.
CW was king when all else fails. So right.
So that's it. I don't know. Hopefully more that'll we can renew an interest in these other modes. Winter Field Day doesn't allow FT8, so get on with PSK 31. Yeah. Get so that's a really good opportunity to kind of get your feet wet with PSK if you haven't done PSK, and then get a little bit of that experience, carry it through. It's all you can do.
Right.
All right. We've been doing a lot of stuff here this evening.
Yeah, we have gone around the world. We've done a year worth of topics in one night.
I think we have. I can't. I'm starting to get a little bit of hoarse myself, and which talking. So, oh no, we got Eric all the way from Singapore. I forget Eric's not in Hawaii anymore. He's in Singapore now.
Oh no.
Winter Field Day website doesn't load in Singapore.
They just have a field day down there because it's summer.
Had to use a VPN to see it.
Oh, watch out! Someone may be knocking on your door with in a uniform. Yeah,
Singapore is one of those countries with the morality police. So it's,
right.
Yeah.
Don't chew bubblegum outside.
No, yeah, no spitting on the sidewalk.
No.
But, so I hope Eric, I hope it's good to hear you on here tonight, and I hope you're having fun down there. And
absolutely.
Good deal. So, oh no, he's already been arrested for doing POTA.
I hope the jail sentence was light. Was it 10 lashes with a cane?
Oh man. Oh man, the things we do to
right
get on the air. Well, with that, I think we need to wrap things up here for another evening. Our next show is going to be on Thursday, February 5th at 7:00 p.m. And that's going to be right before the Minnesota QSO party. Dave and I will be out there on the 7th activating somewhere in Minnesota.
Are you going to win again this year?
I hope so. I don't know. Good. It's going to be a heck of a challenge, I think.
Right.
I think we've came in first 2 years in a row, and I don't know if we can do a three-peat, or did we come in first? We've been in the top three for at least 3 years. So
you're like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen, but
yep.
we got the 1x1 call sign again, K0M. So we'll see. So it should be fun. We'll talk about that next month.
All right.
We'll know the full plans. So, okay. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us. It's been a fun evening and a good way to spend New Year's Day.
Absolutely.
At least on my end. So, thanks a lot, and I hope everybody has a happy New Year. Because it's been 2025 was kind of. So it's we can only go up. So.
It'll be better than 2020. I guarantee that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Famous last words.
Famous last words. So, thanks. everybody. You have a good evening, and we'll catch you on the air. We'll catch you next month. So, Michael, KB9VBR,
and I'm Joe, KD9CJX 73.
Yeah, 73. Have a good evening.